عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله، وكفى بالله شهيدا وكفى بالله حسيبا. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وإن خير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها، وإن كل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد، يقول الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بعد أن يقول: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. ويقول: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. ويقول: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ثم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon the human beings with an unparalleled ability to produce complex thoughts, which is highlighted in the first revelation to Rasulullah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him through the angel Jibreel alayhi salam, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Where he says, read in the name of your Lord, the one who has created. Created what? Created everything. Created a human being from a clot, and read again, and your Lord is the most generous, who has taught by the pen and has taught man that which he knew not. So our ability to produce and preserve thoughts through written records has enabled mankind to progress in all facets of life. Through writing, we have been able to build upon the knowledge from our predecessors, our previous generations. And not only are we gifted with the remarkable capacity to produce and preserve thoughts, we are also endowed with choice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the human being the free will to choose, to use the existing knowledge about the universe to become better servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to become better slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or choose not to. To use this knowledge to advance human progress, or to decline human progress. To put knowledge above the one who has given it, or to make the one who has given knowledge above all else. So these two fundamental attributes, thought and choice, is what separates humanity from the rest of all the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything else, the animals, they act upon their instincts. We also have instincts. But we have our mind, we have our thoughts to prevent us from acting on certain instincts, like animals. And it also provides an opportunity to either become the best servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the choice and through knowledge, or perhaps become even worse than the cattle. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَلْ هُمْ إِنْهُمْ إِلَّا كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ سَبِيلًا. They are nothing except like cattle, like sheep and goats and all these animals. But no, they're actually worse than this. At least the animals, they're fulfilling their actual what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designed them for. But the human being, what is the human being doing? That has advanced intellect in the animals, what is the human being doing today? But nowadays, the overabundance of information about anything and everything in our faces through various channels, such as the internet, videos, articles, all these things, they have really changed our perception of what knowledge truly is. Widespread availability of knowledge has resulted in a superficially informed population that is gradually forgetting how to actually benefit from that knowledge. And that is combined with this consumer culture that we have been grown up with in the West, where knowledge is being viewed through an individualistic framework with the notion that if something does not adhere to my principles, then I'm going to go against you. It doesn't make sense. But in other words, people are placing their intellect, their aql, or maybe somebody else's intellect, above unbiased rational thinking. So the question is, how should the Muslim view knowledge? As with anything else in life, brothers and sisters, what is our reference point? We always go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. We always go back to the Quran and the Sunnah, the guidance about life from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. And with infinite knowledge about the heavens and the earth, the seen and the unseen, it is He alone that prescribes value to all our actions, even including knowledge. The only purpose of attaining knowledge in Islam is to become better slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to become better servants, is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better in this dunya to get the akhirah. The principal difference between the generation to which the Quran was revealed and this generation. Let's look at the difference between the Sahabullah anhum and how they interacted with knowledge compared to our generation today, unfortunately.
The Sahaba did not approach the Quran for the purpose of acquiring culture or information, nor for the purpose of taste or enjoyment. None of them came to the Quran to increase his sum total knowledge for the sake of knowledge itself, or to solve some scientific or legal problem, or to remove some defect in his understanding. Rather, he turned to the Quran to find out from the Almighty Creator Himself how to live life, to find out what is the guidance on how to live life, how to achieve that peace and harmony and tranquility in this life for all of humanity. And as a matter of fact, once there was an incident of Umar radiallahu anhu. We all know the great Umar radiallahu anhu. One time he was reading the Torah, the scripture of the Jews, in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. Rasulullah, his face only becomes red of anger when it's such a serious matter. And in this case, his face became red. And he was furious with Umar radiallahu anhu. And he questioned him, and he told him, by Allah, he swore to Allah, that even if Musa alayhi salam was alive today among you, he would have no other choice than to follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to follow the Quran. This clearly demonstrates that Rasulullah, he took the sources of knowledge very seriously. That he wanted to ensure the Muslims would only look for guidance from the Quran and from the Sunnah. Guidance of how to live life. Not even looking at the Torah. And furthermore, this knowledge that we have, brothers and sisters, this knowledge that we accumulate and gain every single day, is similar to any other responsibility that's given to you, like wealth and kids and whatever else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you accountable on the day of judgment for it. Whatever you know, whatever you have actually strived to learn, you will be questioned about it. You learned it, so what? It's easy to learn. What did you do with it? How did you use that knowledge? Did you use it to benefit yourself and to benefit humanity and the Muslims? Or did you just keep it on the bookshelf, collecting dust? The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith that the 2 feet of the servant will not cease from standing on the day of judgment before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until he is asked about 4 matters. Number 1 is on his life and how he spent it. What did he spend his life on? Was it in the servitude of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Was it at a time when there was no Islam in the world and he looked and he tried to bring back Islam? Or was he just sitting on the sidelines watching the ummah being destroyed? Also on his wealth and how he earned it. Did he earn it in a halal way? Was there a haram occupation involved? Was there riba involved? And on what he spent it, and lastly on the knowledge and what he did for it. So brothers and sisters, this knowledge that we're learning, this knowledge that we're sometimes glorifying, right? Let's look at the Sahaba anhum, how they viewed knowledge, how they acted with knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to benefit from the knowledge that we learn and to use it to the best of our ability to better the Muslims, to better the Ummah, and to bring the Ummah back to the glory days of Islam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So the question now comes, what should we do with our knowledge? We're learning the Quran, we're memorizing it, we're learning tafsir, we're learning the Sunnah. What do we do with this knowledge? It should be understood first and foremost, then it should be acted upon and taught to the others with the sole purpose of serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. This understanding is beautifully summarized by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, who said in a very short statement but so impactful. He said, without knowledge, action is useless. So if you have no knowledge, action is pretty much useless. What are you acting upon? And knowledge without action is just futile. Right? You having that knowledge, you're basically having that knowledge, and you're not benefiting others, you're not benefiting yourself. What's the purpose of that? You're just becoming a parrot, parroting the ayat of the Quran and parroting the sunnah of Rasulullah. And Rasulullah, he also said that action and iman are two partners. So amal and iman, they're two partners. They go hand in hand. Neither of the two is valid without the presence of his companion. Right? That's why we find all these ayat. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. That's it? You just believe? No. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. The people who believe and they work and they do the righteous deeds. All the actions that they know from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do those. So we should gain knowledge with a firm commitment to act upon it. Knowledge, memorize this, knowledge mandates action. Otherwise it's just useless. So brothers and sisters, let us learn also from the mistakes of our predecessors. The mistakes of the previous nation that was sent before us, Bani Israel. They had many mistakes. But let us learn from them so we do not go into them. And unfortunately, as an ummah today, we have definitely gotten into the traps that Bani Israel have also fell into. Who were given knowledge, yet they failed to benefit themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions all these previous nations, specifically Bani Israel, so that we learn from their failures. We learn the lessons of their stories, not just as a story time, to tell our kids, to learn and to actually benefit and not to repeat those mistakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about them, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ حُمِّلُوا التَّوْرَاةَ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَحْمِلُوهَا كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا بِئْسَ مَثَلُ الْقَوْمِ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. He says the likeness of those who were entrusted with the Torah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them the Torah to implement it, to establish it in the land, to make it into reality. Not just those texts in the book, to put it into action. What did they do with it? But they subsequently failed in that. Is as the likeness of a donkey who carries, a huge burden of books on his back. What benefit is a donkey going to do with a bunch of books, a bunch of knowledge on his back? It cannot use it, cannot implement it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likens their example to the example of this animal, of this donkey. And how bad is the example of the people who deny the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide the people who are the zalimeen. Brothers and sisters, there are many ayat about Bani Israel, such as in Surah Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes an incident where Bani Israel, they were given many different commandments, many different prohibitions. But what was their issue? They were picking and choosing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about them, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Do you believe, it's a rhetorical question, do you believe in part of the book and you disbelieve in other part of the book? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have said, do you disobey part of the book and you obey part of the book? But look at the words. He's talking about iman and kufr here. Bani Israel, they decided to put their aql above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They decided to put their desires above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They thought that what they were doing in terms of their guidance was much better than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning. Do you believe in part of the book and you disbelieve in part of the book? This is a matter of iman and kufr. Just like today, let's relate to today. It's not always just about Bani Israel. What about us? What about us that are picking and choosing the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran? We're just focusing on the what? On the ibadat. just focusing on the rituals because it's easy. Maybe it's easy, maybe we like it, maybe it just fulfills our heart. Just sticking to the Salah and the Zakah and the Siyam and the Hajj and all these rituals, which are obviously part of Islam. These are the pillars of Islam. But what about the rest? How can you have a house with just pillars? Would you ever let a person build a house for you with just pillars? What about the windows? What about the roof? What about the rest of the house? Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this full deen. And if we're going to pick and choose, look what the ayah says after. Even to Bani Israel. فَمَا جَزَاءُ مَنْ يَفْعَلُ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا خِزْيٌ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. What other consequence do you think is going to happen? What other reward do you think is going to happen to people that pick and choose the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What do you think? Except that they're going to face humiliation in this life. Not in the next life. The next life is coming. The ayah is going to continue. In this life, you're going to face humiliation. You're going to face subjugation. People are going to trample on you. They don't have respect for you. You're not going to have power in this dunya. People are going to look at you as the weakest thing. Your blood is going to be cheap if you pick and choose from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you pick and choose and think these things are easier, I'm not going to focus on this stuff. Islam, I like the Quran recitation, I want to become a hafiz, I want to do all this kind of stuff. But when it comes to justice, when it comes to speaking the truth, I don't want to do that. Leave it to somebody else. It's too hard. When it comes to uniting the ummah, as we know it's an obligation, it's too hard, brother. I don't want to focus on it. Let somebody else do it. This is the picking and choosing that Bani Israel has done. And look how humiliated they were in the dunya. We know from the history how humiliated Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them. Till this day, even till the day of judgment. Brothers and sisters, we are the ummah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes us, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You are the best nation, the best ummah to come to this earth. Why? Because of our race? Because we speak Arabic? No, none of this stuff. Not the same thing Bani Israel did. There's three things. تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. You are commanding the good. What good of an ummah are you if you're seeing your ummah being butchered and slaughtered if you're not going to speak up against it? What good is the ummah if you see not just Muslims, even non-Muslims, even the environment is being destroyed? The animals, everything. Islam, we have to take it as a full package, a full system of life, a full recipe for humanity on how to establish justice and how to bring about peace and harmony on this earth. This is what Islam is. But if we're going to be like Bani Israel, where they thought that Islam at their time was just picking and choosing, just focusing on the rituals, just do your salah, in the masjid, at home. As soon as you step foot outside the masjid, Islam is gone. You just follow whatever society wants. You just follow what the majority of the people want in a society. No, that's not what Islam is. So going back to knowledge as a topic of this khutbah, many people would ask, what type of knowledge should I learn? Should I focus on the Quran? Should I focus on the Sunnah? Should I focus on this or that? Let's look at what our predecessors, our pious predecessors have said about knowledge. What is the best knowledge to learn out there? Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, what did he say about the best knowledge? He said the best knowledge is that of revival. The knowledge of revival. What does that mean? The knowledge of how to learn how when the ummah is at a time when they are declined, when they're so low in their intellect, when they're so low in their, for example, aqidah, thinking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just the Rabb, but not the Ilah. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just the creator, but He's not the sovereign. He's not the one that gives you the laws. He's not the one that gives you the guidance on how to live life. When the ummah is so low at this level, when they don't think that Islam is going to give them the solutions to all their problems. And when they don't view Islam in this manner, when they view Islam in a very secularized fashion, where they separated Islam from the rest of all the affairs, what is the best knowledge at this time? The time of today. The best knowledge is that of revival. How to uplift this ummah. You know, how to teach this ummah to think the right way, to think the Islamic way. Not in a superficial way, not in a cost-benefit analysis. No, what is halal and what is haram. That is what's going to benefit. You know, this is the best knowledge. The knowledge of revival. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to revive this ummah with the best knowledge from the Quran and the Sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to take only the knowledge of guidance from the Quran and the Sunnah and no other guidance, no other man-made system, no other ideology, no other system, no other ism, only from Islam. آمين 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 إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا واعتدلوا. Straighten your lines, shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نسبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام